I would characterise BP Shipping today as the newest old company in the world. This company is rich in tradition, rich in history, has built on an activity set that broadly hasn't changed for 100 years.
The Anglo-Persian Oil Company's shipping arm, the British Tanker Company, was formed a century ago in 1915. At its inception, it was charged with providing a dependable source of oil to a country at war. Since then, it has evolved into one of the most modern fleets in the world.
In the early years, BP was shipping oil from one place through to Europe. It was a straightforward voyage, it was a straightforward cargo, and the ships were designed specifically to get into shallow ports in the Middle East. Over the years, the products that were being delivered changed in their nature, so therefore the ships had to adapt.
By the 1930s, the tanker company was operating a fleet of almost 100 vessels, moving large quantities of crude and oil products to supply new, rapidly expanding markets.
The impact of the tanker on providing the lifeblood of highly industrialized societies was really important. And although the Western economies suffered from the Depression following the Wall Street crash, there was still a pretty steady need for oil fuel.
But before long, the shipping company would be called upon to support a country at war once again.
Merchant shipping was crucial to the outcome and the survival of this country, not only supplying troops in the front line, but also the British economy had to keep going. Without merchant shipping, we would not have been able to sustain our war effort at all.
Oil tankers were a prized target, and by the end of the war, 657 of the tanker company's seafarers would lose their lives, and 260 would be taken prisoner of war. After the Second World War, a major new shipbuilding program got underway, accelerated by the Suez Crisis and the need for larger vessels to transit the Cape route. The ships entering service now reached over 100,000 tons and were technologically advanced.
The war had shown that you could get enormous economies of scale by building bigger and bigger ships. And so the deadweight tonnage of tankers increased very rapidly in the post-war years.
That's when the major changes occurred in the structure, in the hull forms, and in the propulsion of the ships. So that was really a watershed in the design of the ships.
As larger volumes of oil were moved by sea, the world also began to look seriously at new safety and environmental measures.
BP Shipping has got a proud record of industry-leading achievements. We were the first to bring out inert gas on ships, which is the principal safety measure to prevent fire and explosion. We were the first to bring in crude oil washing, the first to lead the industry to only charter double hulls. We continue to contribute to the industry through various industry bodies. We second people into industry organisations so that we can spread our expertise.
Until the 1960s and 70s, shipping had been an entirely male-dominated profession, and it would take a determined person to break through the ranks.
I think when I was in my early teens and I started to think that I would really like to go to sea, but I didn't know how it would be possible. You know, there were literally advertisements that said, it's a man's life in today's modern Navy, that kind of thing. And BP were the ones that took the chance.
By the 1970s, the world had an abundance of oil, and BP Shipping, like most of the world's tanker companies, had massively expanded its fleet to carry it. But political events in the Middle East would soon take the world by surprise again.
1973 was the big change. The cutbacks in the oil supply and the hike in the oil price from $5 up to maybe $10 seemed to us to be the end of the world in those days. And of course it had a considerable effect on the demand for oil, and that was bad news for tankers.
Large new discoveries of oil by BP in Alaska and the North Sea offered a new ray of hope, and the tanker company's naval architects now began overseeing the construction of a new range of innovative vessels.
The biggest change I've seen in BP Shipping is the change from a tanker company to a company that deals with all aspects of floating structures. Talking to civil engineers, offshore engineers, melding it into our expertise, That's a huge change, and I feel that we've reacted to that challenge very well indeed.
After successfully riding the waves of world recession and major downsizing, in the 90s, the tide now began to turn for BP Shipping.
The decision was taken to build new ships for the first time for years. And these were state-of-the-art ships, 3 Suezmax class tankers, double-hulled, the very latest technologies, and actually was, I think, the first glimmering of a dawn of revival. And it really went from there.
A series of mergers had propelled BP into the ranks of the oil and gas supermajors, and BP Shipping had to adapt once more.
One of the underlying business changes for BP Shipping over the last 20, 30 years is to move as part of a supply organisation to a trading organisation with business going anywhere in the world with all sorts of products. We have a more commercial outlook on where we trade our ships, how we structure our fleet, how we go about our business.
A huge $3 billion program of shipbuilding was begun, and now its role providing marine expertise to the group also developed.
If you look at the upstream and the downstream part of our business, there's an awful lot of marine activity that goes on that is extremely important to the success of the business. And BP Shipping has become the place where the rest of the group goes for marine skills.
The culture of carrying oil hasn't in fact changed very much. What has changed is the size of the ships, the technologies that are used, and it is very heartening to see that BP are producing their own training schemes from which a service ethic grows up in its personnel.
Our Cadet Program is extremely important. It introduces a structured learning process, and it really does produce some absolutely excellent people.
Joining a company that wants to move forward, I think, is fantastic. I cannot wait to start doing the career that I've trained to do, and being with BP, I feel that I've got great opportunities that lie ahead.
I've been on really good ships, I've learned so much, I've gained so many more experiences. I'm very grateful to have worked on BP Shipping's tankers.
It's the people that carry out the activities, that drive the standard, that have the dedication and the energy, and any corporation that's got a couple of thousand people doing that and will continue for the next 100 years.